guys, Ben from Benchmark Solutions here. Another package that we've just finished up. As we mentioned previously, we've decided to do a bit of a tech feature on anything that we think is cool, or anything that we get some feedback on. You want to see more of this and all that. So someone requested and asked to see a little bit more about our paddle shifted bits and pieces. So this is a car that we've just finished up. It's been through several iterations, affectionately known as BAX. So this car started off as pretty much a stock Evo 9 with our mapless and single map 85 tune. Lasted like that for a year. Then the next step from there was a 3584 RS twin scroll turbo kit, built 2.2, MoTeC and all the other bits. Started with just a plug-in kit with bolt-ons on a built motor. That went 500 kilowatts and kept him going for a few months. As always, the bugs started a bit further, so the next step was something a bit different at the time. So 2 years ago we put a G42 1200 compact turbo kit on it, which was new at the time. So that's a 73mm turbo from the smallest one of the G42 of the Garrett range. That lasted for a little while, kept him going, had a few fun events in it. That was also coupled with a PPG 5-speed H-pattern dog box. After having some issues with the box and having it back out and repaired, he decided to look at it a little bit different, because wanting a bit more power and speed. The car originally made just over 620 kilowatts. On the G42 it fit at nearly 60 pound. The setup though was based around the smaller gear that we'd already spec'd for what is normally like our 500 setup. So 68 throttle, 2.5 piping, all that kind of thing. Small Plasman 76mm cooler, which works perfect on the 500 setup. It's not really fair asking 600 plus from it, but it did the job. But we knew there was a fair bit on the table, and we're pushing the turbo a little bit too hard for my liking. So over the crazy 2 years of Corona, we decided to step it up a bit and put a air shifted Holinger, which is our sequential transmission of choice. The choice to go the sequential over the dog box was A, more reliable and faster shifting. Customer basically wanted the car to shift as fast as possible, less chance of the turbo falling off and having to use gas again to come back on. So now we've got the Holinger, an air shifted Holinger. ECU was changed up to an M150 just to run the shift strategies, as well as a few other fancy bits. The throttle body we changed from our 68 up to a 74, as we were measuring nearly 1.5 pounds pressure drop across the throttle plate previously, so we knew we had some gains to have there. The intercooler was upgraded to a 4-inch item as well, as we were measuring nearly 10 pound or over 10 pound pressure drop across the intercooler. So we measure all these things on these packages. Probably from our feedback, our packages seem to be, right, electronic side of it, seem to be a little bit more expensive than what other people get quoted initially. But when you look at all the data that we are capturing and the reason why we're measuring it, we're able to instantly make the correct decision on the way forward, where there's restrictions and so forth. So we knew that we were losing 10 to 12 pound of boost across the intercooler and throttle plate, so we upgraded the piping to 3-inch, picked up 300 or 400 RPM of spool from the reduction of pumping losses, and pretty much we're making a bit more power than we were before at about 4 or 5 psi less boost pressure asking from the turbo. So benefit of that is shaft speed is down about 40k. Shaft speed is at about 20k. Outlet temperatures are down nearly 40 degrees, and that has a flow-on effect to inlet air temps and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, good day in the office regarding that. Now the transmission, as I said, is a Holinger, air shifted, and yeah, just does the job really nicely, effortlessly on shifts. We can shift around without a clutch. And ECU applies the calibrated amount of cut. That unloads the box, next gear, and once the ECU sees that the box is in the next gear, it applies torque back in. This car is running nitrous for spool. Again, dry shot closed loop through the ECU, so it administers the correct amount of fuel depending on the nitrous pressure. So that way it's not jetted with a specific amount of fuel on a wet shot per se. It's jetted on a dry shot, and then the nitrous bottle pressure is calculated back and calibrated on the dyno for the right amount of fuel to match. Keeps the system simple, and then the ECU can determine what it needs to do, how much pressure's there, and how much fuel to match the gas being injected. This makes a massive difference. It's our recommendation for anything to do with roll racing and power crews and that kind of setup. So not recommended for the street, but due to legalities, but for the roll race track-based stuff, it transforms the car, to be honest. So we're picking up nearly 1500 RPM of spool with nitrous, which again, like I said, makes a big difference. So drivability wise, no clutch upshift, so I can just accelerate, and then 5th, 6th, we can go back to 5th, back to 4th. Pretty effortless stuff. No carrying on pops and bangs and things like that. So it's just does what it needs to do. The Hollinger's nice and quiet in the vehicle. There's not, some of the dog boxes are very, very invasive noise wise. This is much quieter than most H patterns that I've experienced. So it's another benefit to why we like them and recommend them. So following on to the engine bay layout. So we've shown this car before, but it's a pretty nice package, so I think it's worth showing again. So as we said, this runs excuse me, G42 1200 compact, 73mm turbo, Plasmaman intake manifold with 2 injectors per cylinder, our 7-bar map sensor, pre and post throttle for torque management, high response intake air temp, nitrous solenoid, EGTs of course. This one runs a cutout dump valve off the dump pipe as well. Half size radiator. This is a half filled block, fire ringed, 280R Kelford cams, about 9:1 compression, running about just over 50 pound of boost. So benchmark catch can. Righto, so the boot's a bit of a feature on this one now. So the customer just stated he wanted the boot cleaned up with it still being able to be usable. So Connor and James have really knocked this one out of the park, and it's something I think we'll be doing a lot more of in the future. So this car runs an AI Surge with twin 525s, filter, nitrous system, obviously battery relocated, but all the cool stuff's underneath the floor here. So we've got a reinforced boot floor. You can see everything going through there. That contains the paddle shift compressor pump, PDM, fuel pump control. This also runs a front air cup system, so that's all controlled under there as well, with solenoids and everything like that integrated into the MoTeC. So the MoTeC on this car is more of a vehicle management. How this works is basically we've got an up and down arrow here. So the up and down arrow controls the front air cups. So we press that, front comes up, press that again, front comes back down again. So that's all integrated in through the paddle shift system. One pump, one compressor, one retention tank, and one lot of lines. So that way there's not multiple amounts of plumbing going on throughout the vehicle, multiple systems, and huge amperage draw. So that's one of the reasons we've incorporated that into the car, and then it's all controlled through the ECU and keypad. So there's not 5 subsystems going on in the same system. As always, MoTeC dash, controlling things with all the data. Eight-button keypad, controlling nitrous functions, dash functions, air cups, launch, boost and rolling anti-lag.